things that are destructive to the country and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Does it seem like heavy talk?
I mean, that's like glorious. That's like the spoils of battle, you know.
I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So, I talked to the president. He's supportive of that, and so it sounds like that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So.
Yeah. I think they fired 6,000 people at the IRS. And I think Lutnick said last night that they're talking about shutting down the IRS. I think people should realize this is, the amount of money that we send in Washington, like 5 or 6 trillion a year, that is such an ungodly amount of money. What do they say? They say like 1 trillion seconds is like 30 years or something like that. That's how much we send them, and they seem to never have enough. There must be a lot you can cut.
No, absolutely. People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to DC, when you're in DC? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures, and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence, where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And then they scoff at it and they say, oh, a few billion here and there. The way they're talking about it, you can see they don't care. It's such little money compared to how much they're used to wasting. That's what's really scary.
Exactly. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot, people. So what are you talking about?
I like that. Let me ask you a question. I know the president fairly well. Watched him survive 2 assassinations. Had the first one not happened, the second one would have gotten him. It was very. Without those extra guys, they would have never seen that gun poking through the fence at the golf course. I saw the crew that you could.
Isn't it like mind-blowing that this has happened? It just... And what, by the way, why do we still know nothing about that guy in Buckland? What's going on? He's Ashley's going to get to the bottom of it.
I saw that the security detail that you had come in is enormous.
Well, it's not that enormous. Maybe it should be bigger.
Right. I think you could probably afford it. But how concerned are you about your safety? You are a wanted man. Are you nervous?
So, look, I'm open to ideas for improving security, I have to tell you. I don't actually have a death wish, I think. It's not that easy. But I have I've had even people like President Bukele from El Salvador who managed to put in prison 100,000 murderous thugs. And he was he told me, I'm worried about your security. I'm like, you're worried about my security? What? Okay. That's
talk about guts to do that down there.
Yeah, totally.
And then survive.
I was like, how did you put all those thugs in prison without dying? Because it seems like that would have been not easy,
Well, there's the president is one of his top attorneys is now investigating, I guess, Chuck Schumer for threats against SCOTUS. Congressman, basically saying we're going to ruin you or to fight to you. The rhetoric, you guys are screwing with things that are not supposed to be messed with. And
we're fighting the Matrix.
There's a lot of people that really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we're fighting the Matrix big time here. It has got to be done.
It certainly does. What's going on with? Tell us about Fort Knox. Kentucky, it's a military base, it's a ton of gold, tons and tons and tons of gold.
5,000 tons of gold?
5,000 tons of gold are there in the ground in this, it's a very secure thing.
We all want to see it.
I'd love to see it.
This is your gold, by the way. It's the public's gold.
Do you think it's not there?
I don't know.
You just want to see it?
Yeah, we want to go see it and just make sure somebody did a spray paint some lead or something. Is this real gold? You might have to fight the bar,
Did it then.
But I think, honestly, you know, part of this also is just like, let's let's have some fun and you know, like I said, all this gold in Fort Knox, it's the public's gold. It's your gold. So like, I think you have like the right to see it.
I take it to work.
Yeah, I think we should have a tour. And the president last night was like, I think he's in favor of it. That'd be cool. And then it should be like a live tour. Like you can see what's going on, open the door, like what's behind it. Well, I think I'd watch that.
I mean, what is 5,000 tons of air look like? How big is that? Is it the size of this?
That'd be pretty big, you know.
It's got to be a lot.
But there's some other stuff in there, like there's we'll walk around, like I don't know, there's some other stuff in there.
Are you thinking about auditing the Federal Reserve as well, which is obviously
Yeah, sure.
regulating right now? I imagine you think the waste has got to be everywhere.
Yeah, no, waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask, how can you find waste in DC? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and there's target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like, you're gonna close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. So you can't miss, you know? So it's pretty wild. Like you just push on things a little bit and you save billions of dollars. Like just a little bit, you know? It's wild.
It's scary, isn't it?
That's why I say, like, it really is underrated where if you add
He's
caring and
channeling the spirit
competence,
of easy
how much
ease.
things improve.
Yeah.
And you know, and we just find so many totally crazy things, and which, you know, we're sharing with the public. We post everything we learn. You know, just so you can see it. You know? And like, it's like, isn't it like it's totally wild? Like we just did like check the database on Social Security. Like it says how many alive Americans eligible for Social Security are there? And according to the database, it's over 400 million. And we're like, wait a second.
And how many are
How again?
Yeah.
And then like we found like one person in there is like 360 years
360.
old. I'm like, what do they know? Ben?
Or 100
or
years before the
something?
revolution. Yeah.
You know, America didn't exist before at that time. Like
They were allies.
you know, maybe it's just me, but I think it's a red flag. I don't know.
But are there indications that there were checks going to those people, or any of those people?
Well,
That's, I
yeah.
guess, the question, right? I mean, I get the Social Security Administration is dumb, but are they paying these people? Are they that dumb? I don't know.
A bunch of money is going out for the Social Security Administration, and in fact, from all entitlements programs,
72 billion in waste in like 7 years. It's 10 billion a year.
Well, I think the
Fraudulent payments.
The rough estimate from the Government Accountability Office is over $500 billion in 40 years. 500 billion.
In how long a time?
Oh, per year.
Per year? On Social Security?
No, on all
On all government? No.
on all entitlements.
All entitlements.
All entitlements, yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of actually makes sense when you look at the thing from a top level and say like, okay, there's $7 trillion of spending by the government. What percentage do you think is fraudulent? Okay, exactly. Like a conservative estimate of the 7 trillion would be 10%. Conservative.
Probably a little higher than that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Feels like a quarter out of every dollar, right?
But if the fraud's only 10% of 7 trillion, you've got $700 billion of fraud.
Yeah. That's
And by the way, it's just like really easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's very easy. It's very easy.
Look at COVID.
Yes.
Everybody got rich during COVID. I mean, look at all these scares. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It looks like, in terms of COVID payments, there was something like $200 billion of COVID payment fraud taken by fraudsters out of the country. That's like I think, listen, if there's going to be fraud, it should at least be domestic. You know. But they managed to get $200 billion out of the country. I'm like, what? Didn't we notice that?
Let me ask you, let's do immigration here for a second. You know, there's this move now that Trump's latest thing is that he's going to cut funding, any kind of money that ends up in the hands of illegal immigrants. So if you're funding these sanctuary cities and states, that's how they thrive, right? They pay for these hotels. That's all federal money. If you got a hotel in your city, in New York, you got all these hotels full of migrants. That's not the state money. That's the feds are covering that. He's going to cut all that. It's really hard to deport 15 million people. And it seems like the move now is, let's see if we, especially at the rate that we're going, it seems like the move now is, let's make it so that they leave on their own. If there's no longer a dole system for them, if they can't get their hands on hotel rooms and money, they're gonna go back, especially if there's no work.
Well, I think it's really important for people to understand that the Biden administration sent any possible money that they could if there was money they could send to facilitate and amplify illegal immigration, they sent it. Okay, they took money from FEMA meant for helping Americans in distress and sent that money to luxury hotels for illegal immigrants in New York. That is an outrage. They actually did that. And not only that, even after the president signed an executive order saying it has to stop, the FEMA, the sort of whatever deep state bureaucrats still pressed send on $80 million last week to go to the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and other places last week. And now they're mad that it got stopped, and they're like trying to sue to have it be restored. It's like the gumption.
You think they're creating a new voter class? Do you think that was the goal when they opened up the borders for 4 years? Create a new voter class, get them citizenship, get them in.
A lot of these things, like you don't actually have to assume some grand conspiracy. You just need to look at basic incentives. So if the incentives, fundamentally, if the probability that an illegal is going to vote Democrat at some point, whether it's cheating, but eventually they can become citizens. But if the probability is like 80-90%, just look at California, which is supermajority Dem, and then the incentive is to maximize the number of illegals in the country. That is why the Biden administration was pushing to get in as many illegals as possible and spend every dollar possible to get as many, because every one of them is a customer, every one is a voter.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing was a giant voter importation scam.
Pretty obvious.
Very obvious. And then they actually created the CVP1 voter app thing, where they were, which is like where they would literally fly people in. It's not like like at the point at which people are being flown in at your expense,
sending planes,
like building a wall doesn't matter. They're literally flying them in.
No other country in the world would do something like this. Nobody is this stupid.
Yeah, and then we found that there was like $100 million contract given to some guy in London, actually, oddly enough, for the CVP1 app. So they're flying illegals into the swing states.
Yeah.
And if you've got like a margin of victory of maybe 20,000 people, and you fly 200,000 illegals into that state, it's not going to be a swing state for long.
Change the numbers. Eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe in 4 or 8 years, you're
It's just a matter of time.
It's a long game.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So it might take like a year for the asylum seeker or something to get a green card, and 5 years for the citizenship. It's an investment that is guaranteed to pay off.
Yeah.
Just a question of when.
They all remember who brought them in and who left them.
Exactly.
I want to go back. I want to talk about
It's a
Biden.
big deal. Like I think a lot of people don't quite appreciate that this was an actual, real scam at scale to tilt the scales of democracy in America. Treason.
One more Biden question. I remember when they would do the electric car stuff, they would always try to box you out, even though you have the only electric car anybody wants. You said, I think this week, that you think that Biden left these astronauts up in space because he didn't want to give you an opportunity to save them, make NASA look bad, make the private sector look better, make you look good. You believe it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course.
I kind of agree. Why would he want to let you help them come down when you're supporting the president?
The Biden administration was attacking the next level. I mean, the Department of Justice or Injustice under the Biden administration they were suing SpaceX. They're suing SpaceX for not hiring asylum seekers. And we're like, but it's actually illegal for us to hire asylum seekers because rocket technology is covered under ITAR rules, which means it's an advanced weapons technology.
Yeah.
And so we can only hire permanent residents or green or citizens. Right. Like so we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. We said how can they sue us for not hiring asylum seekers when it's actually illegal for us to do so? But nonetheless, there was a big Department of Justice or injustice case about this against SpaceX. So obviously it was an antagonistic situation. Those astronauts were supposed to be up there for 8 days, and now they're up there for 8 months. Does that make any sense? And we obviously could have brought them back sooner, but they didn't want anyone who supported President Trump to look good, basically.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
A lot of them are saying right now that the reason that you want to get into Social Security, that you want to get into all of these different, into Treasury and things like that, is that you're looking for personal information and you're trying to make money.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody as rich as you that cared less about money in my life. Every time I hear a story about you, you're sleeping on a couch with some other guy in a city that you could buy the entire thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you care about money, do you?
No, actually, I don't. I mean, listen, like if I steal some Social Security, I can finally buy nice things.
Yeah. and on that same question, they're also talking about you guys are going to end Social Security, you're going to end Medicare, you're going to end these things. I don't imagine that conversation has been had with the president.
No, in fact, the actions that we're taking with the support of the president and the support of the agencies is what will save Medicare, what will save Social Security. Because if the country goes insolvent, if all the money is just spent on paying interest on debt, there's no money left for anything. So that's the reason I'm doing this, is because I was looking at the big picture here, and it's like, man, our debt's getting out of control. The interest payments, the interest on the national debt now exceeds the entire Defense Department budget.
$1 trillion a year.
Yes.
Interest, just to carry the money that we owe, is $1 trillion a year.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
And rising rapidly. So like, a country's no different from a person. A country overspends, country goes bankrupt. Same as a person who overspends goes bankrupt. So it's not like optional to solve these things. It's essential.
A couple minutes left here. Russia. There's a huge push from the administration.
People like sometimes like
to end this war.
Say like, I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't afford me.
So you're trying to end a war. Ending a war always means you have to compromise, you have to negotiate with an enemy or an adversary. That's just what it is. And right now, they are lambasting the president for trying a different method to a war that they haven't been able to end for 3.5 years, or 3 years.
Yeah.
They're saying Trump's blaming Zelensky for the invasion. How do you process all of the negativity toward him for trying to end this war?
Well, first of all, I think we should have empathy for the people dying at the front lines. That's the most important thing. And people have been dying, it's like, how many more years is this supposed to go on? And imagine if that was your son, your father, what are they dying for? What exactly are they dying for? The line of engagement has barely moved for 2 years. There's a whole bunch of people dead in trenches for what? And I'll tell you what for what. It's like for the biggest graft machine that I've ever seen in my life. That's for what. It's unreal. Like the amount of money that has been taken in graft and bribery is disgusting. And so what's actually happening is that those poor guys are getting sent into a meat grinder for money. That's what's actually going on. And it needs to stop.
And it seems, Trump is so pragmatic on this. He's just looking at it and he's saying, it's Ukraine, it's not our country, it's not a NATO ally. I just want to see people not dying. I want to see on both sides. Think about how so many young men have died in Ukraine that the army is starting to age out, the military is aging out. You got 40 and 50-year-old guys fighting in a war because there's nobody left that's not killed or maimed in their 20s.
Yes.
That's the reality. Think about how many people that is. If you're a humanitarian at all, you just got to end the war. No matter what. Just get it over with.
Yes, people, they need to stop dying. And the growth machine's got to stop, you know? So, and I think people, a lot of people out there don't realize, like, the president has a lot of empathy. He really cares, you know? He's a good, he's a good man.
I got one more for you. I've been fascinated by you for a very long time.
Thanks.
I've never seen anybody that can, do so many things at the same time. I mean, you got the rockets, you got the cars. I've always wanted to ask you, what is it like inside your mind? Like, is it just 1,000 miles an hour? I mean, are you?
Yeah.
Is it just not? I mean, does it ever stop? Do you sleep? How much do you sleep? Paint us a picture of inside of the mind of a genius. Like, can you answer the question? It's not an easy question.
I mean, my mind is a storm. So, it's a storm. But I mean, let me tell you something, like, you didn't ask the question, but I think it's worth, and nonetheless, maybe just elaborating on something, which is, I grew up in South Africa, and my morality was informed by America. I read comic books, played Dungeons and Dragons, and I watched American TV shows, and it seemed like America cared about being the good guys, about doing the right thing. And that's actually pretty unusual, by the way. It's like
In the world, it's very unusual.
Yeah, it's not like actually.
Most countries don't do that.
No, I don't.
No.
And so I was like, yeah, you want to be this good, you want to be on the side of good, you want to care about what's right, yeah. So that's what I believe in.
I think it's something at the end.
So yeah.
That's good. Elon Musk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.